How do you measure success? Growth and innovation all lead to the longevity of a company. One leader in the travel business is thriving at all of this and more. Meet Adam Duckworth. 10 years ago, he saw the need for a travel agency to do better for both clients and agents. And now it's time to hear his story. My name is Rebecca Ingram, and I've known Adam for over 20 years. I sat down with him to discuss his company's success, his leadership, and his role as a husband and father. Now, why are we shooting this today?
So, I feel like one of the things that human beings miss the opportunity to do is to just celebrate moments and celebrate milestones. So this is really interesting how all of these things kind of coincide. Like Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, Travelmation's 10th anniversary, which was this year, my 40th birthday, and in the next very short order, right when we're filming this, we are about to take on a very big milestone in terms of the number of agents for our company. So I just feel like there's these moments that people don't take the opportunity to capitalize on, to tell a story and to talk about a journey. And this just felt right. It felt like the stars aligned. It felt like it was time to tell a story, to tell the world a little bit more about our company, to talk about leadership, to talk about things we've done right, things we've done wrong, what will we do differently going forward, where do we want to go? And so as our organization kind of dreamed this up, I felt like in the last 10 years of our company and in my life, this is not something I've ever done. I've never sat and had a dialogue with anybody for longer than a few minutes. So I just felt like it was right. And I felt like, why not today of all days? If you're gonna take a moment and put a line in the sand and go, hey, this next year, decade of my life means a lot, why not take a minute and document some stuff and answer some questions about it? So that's what we're doing.
So something you hit on.
Yeah.
10 years of Travelmation.
Yeah.
Now, looking back on 10 years, what are you most proud of?
I think that is such a loaded question because you could list out a number of bullet points. I think I'm most proud of a couple of things along the way. Number one, I think I'm most proud of our brand. We are unlike any other brand in the travel industry, specifically the Disney affinity space. And I did that when I started the company on purpose. I wanted a different, unique name that people wouldn't recognize because there's a lot of similar names in that space. All great folks, great organizations, but I wanted to be different. So the second thing that we did, even as we entered into our 10th year, was we engaged with the company to manage our already great brand and take it to the next level. And so there are some things that have happened with Travelmation as we redesigned our branding this year, as we redesigned our logo that we are just so proud of because we don't feel like anybody even holds a candle to our brand in the industry. And we say that with pride. We're not, trying to knock anybody else along the way. We just felt like we've done a really great job. So the first thing I'm so proud of is our brand, the way that we look to the public, the way that we put ourselves out there, the way that our company is set to go into the next 10 years. I'm so proud of. The second thing that I'm so proud of is our leadership team. So we have a team of VPs, we have a team of supervisors, we have a team of directors who are all responsible for a different part of the company or a different group of agents. And sometimes in life, you really just get the right people around the right table at the right place. I think that's probably the secret sauce to many successful organizations who skyrocket. Because if this person wasn't here, that person wasn't there, this person wasn't here at that particular time, then we might struggle or not be where we are. So as you think about in the early days of Michelle Bork and then Alston Causey and Tim Elrod and Christina Cooper who make up our VP team, and then our directors who've come in and they've managed different parts, and then our management team has expanded, I am most proud of, to answer that question in a bottom line way after I very, lengthily answered it, I'm proud of our brand and I'm proud of our leadership team.
So there's a lot that you said there I want to hit on, but let's go back to the beginning. Why did you want to create this company?
Why did I want to create Travelmation? So In the beginning, I was a travel agent with a different organization, and it was, God bless the individuals who ran it, but highly old school. We were issuing paper checks. The commission splits with me, the agent, were terrible in terms of what I was actually getting. And they weren't digital. That was the number one thing. They weren't thinking in a digital space even 10 years ago. They weren't even remotely thinking about it. So I finally made the decision to go, hey, I got to get out of here because I am never going to be able to do what I want to do here. And that didn't go over very well at the time. In fact, these folks who ran this organization called me and said, not beg's a bad word, but it's the only one I know how to use, is we beg you to do this here with us. And that was a hard conversation to have because I said, I can't. I physically cannot do this with you guys because it's not possible with you guys helping to steer the ship and steer the rudder on the ship. So I left. Subsequently, about 2 years after we started Travelmation, we absorbed that company, which was interesting. So they came all to work for us at the end of the day because they knew we were going to do big things. But why I did it was because I knew there was something special about the travel agent space that was not tapped into yet. So that's why I wanted to go out on my own and do it. And it took a long time to build. It wasn't something that happened overnight. But I really wanted to do better for myself, and I wanted to do better for other people. I didn't want to take the things that I was discontent about and then cast them on others to just go, well, look at me. I can do this now too, and I can do what the rest of the industry does. I wanted to do better for me, and I wanted to help other people do better. And I think that is one of the things, going back to a previous question, if I were to say another thing that I'm so proud of, it's to watch the life change in this organization that was so unexpected. Like, that wasn't something that I ever thought would be a part of what we're able to witness and see, but people's lives have been changed because of this. To their own, like, they've offered up that information about financially, emotionally, and that is something that is very powerful. That it makes that decision 10 years ago completely worth it, and it makes the next 10 years completely worth it.
I like that word powerful. I was kind of leaning in on that too as you were saying that. But let me ask you this. So when you start Travelmation, how many travel agents did you have?
1.
And how many do you have now?
So Travelmation is knocking on the door of taking on our 1,000th agent, which is pretty cool. So we filmed this appropriately at the time to roll out alongside of some of our media that will roll out alongside of Agent 1,000, because we were just like, how could this be? Like, how could we have 1,000 people selling travel for Travelmation? But it's true. We're about to take on our 1,000th agent.
Now, when I hear that,
right,
1,000 travel agents,
yeah,
that's a big success. Do you ever do you ever accept that and appreciate that? Do you allow yourself that?
I do, because I think you have to step back and celebrate wins and moments and successes. But one of the things that I'm a person of faith, as you know, and one of the things that I feel like that God has always taught me along my life, whether I've wanted to be taught it or not, is He has always taught me humility. So so if I wanted to, like, I could easily get a big head about it. Like, yeah. And I'm susceptible to that, to go, hey, well, but I'm really focused on not doing that, because I do believe that when you get into that mindset and you start to think it's all about you, which I do not, and you start to think that you are this big successful person, which I do not, it starts to get to your head, and that's when downfalls happen. So I'm always very protective of that in my life, to not allow. That's why a lot of times people will ask me, why do you spotlight other communicators, other podcasters? Like, for example, we launched the Travelmation podcast, and everybody said, wow, Adam's going to be he's going to be a podcaster. And I said, I'm not going to do it, because I didn't want it to be about me. Now, there might be things that we use my personality for in the future, because people say to me all the time, oh, you're great on camera, you do this, fine. So we may utilize my personality for a number of things. But there are moments, like with our media department, where I haven't wanted it to be all about me. So I do allow the bigness almost of the moment to land on my shoulders and to go, wow, this is a big deal. It's so cool. But I really have tried to remain humble. Also, being in the organizations that I've been in throughout my life, when leaders fall from grace, and this is Hollywood, this is church world, this is business world, when leaders fall from grace, they believe that they are above the rules. And I will tell you, I do not believe I am above any rule. I am always very guarded in my life. I am very secure in what we do. I want to celebrate our successes, but always realize we are one, pandemic away from being taken down, which we thought could never happen, and it almost did, and we rose from the ashes again. So we always try to keep focused and driven on what's next and what's ahead of us can we do, and how can we stay focused on people and helping our agents sell travel, helping our brand grow. So yes, I celebrate the successes. Yes, I understand how big it is. I really believe it's so cool, and maybe one of the coolest things, if not the coolest thing I'll ever be a part of in my entire life, at least professionally. But I really try to keep all those other things in mind as well.
So Adam, you talk about the concept that you created the company with a generosity mindset.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it's this idea that a lot of organizations have a clenched fist around dollars, making the organization want to go big. And so when I started Travelmation, I knew that a lot of the travel agency space was not necessarily in favor of the agent. So in the travel agency space, the house always kind of gets a cut. That's just standard business operating procedure. It's standard business in any kind of realtor relationship, car sale, that's the way sales work, right? Well, in a lot of the travel agency spaces, like when I started out as a travel agent, I only got 35% of anything that I booked. So we completely flipped that at Travelmation. When we started out, we wanted to put more dollars and resources in the hands of our agents, boom, right off the front end. And as they got more successful in sales, we actually gave them more. And I don't think that I realized how much that meant to agents until we met other agents in the industry who had said, you don't even know what I'm dealing with. I have to come over here and do, and we don't do that a lot, just so you know. We've done it sparingly, and generally we ask the question, are you leaving anyway and you're looking for a new home? Because we don't like to get into it with other agencies, specifically in the Disney space about this, about that issue. It's not something we do a lot, but we have done it. And we stand by it when we do it because people have said, I really want a new home. But a lot of times when people are looking for a new home, the generosity thing is really big for them. It's all about, listen, if they're going to do this, they want to do better. And of course, over the course of time, as the company has grown, everybody wins along the way. And I think that was really important to me because that is something that people are after. They're after a better life for themselves. And we should support that. We should want people on our teams to be able to have more resources, to go after their goals, to sell travel as much as they want to, and to be paid and compensated appropriately along the way. And I think that our team would tell you that that's something that they love. They do very well for themselves, and I'm proud to have that mindset as an organization.
So anytime you lead a company, there's going to be competition. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about the competition in your industry, specifically the Disney space?
I don't pay attention to them. I really don't. Now, relationally and socially, I will pay attention to them because I have a lot of friends in the industry, especially after Travelmation reached a certain level with Disney. I got to meet some wonderful people. Like there's a group of folks who get together about once a year. Sometimes they have meetings and talk about the industry, and they're amazing people. But I don't pay attention to their business models or what they're doing because I don't have time. Like we do, and when I say I don't have time for it, I really mean I don't have time for it. I do not have time to look at your Instagram stories or to see what you're doing or watch your social media post, or I don't have time. And if anybody has an opinion of Travelmation and they do have time to see what we're doing, number one, great. I would always welcome anything that we're doing for the industry that can help others, perfect. But if somebody's kind of looking at us, I would tell them, you should try to go figure out how to build your own brand. Because there are people who want to learn from us and we've been gracious and wonderful along the way. They said, let me do this. Can I pick your brain about this? We would be open to do that all day. But I think, in the Disney space in terms of competition, I love the individuals that I've interacted with. There's some great people who we built friends with, but I just don't have time to pay attention to it. I just don't. I'm too crazy every morning to every night of every day.
So I feel like this next question, we've hit on it quite a bit in what you've already said.
Yeah.
But if you could sum up, what makes Travelmation different?
We hit on this about year 3 or 4 when I realized about this secret sauce. So if a client comes to a Travelmation travel agent to book their vacation, Becca Ingram comes to Adam Duckworth to book your vacation. If I'm a good travel agent, from start to finish, you're probably going to get a similar service from us as you would from anybody else in the industry. At least you should. If they've trained their agents properly and an agent's responsive, you're going to get similar service. So if that's true, we started to ask ourselves, how could we be different? And what we did was we started to put all the emphasis not on the client, because that service should be happening anyway if we do our job. We started to put it on the agent. And we started to say, what if we could create the best possible place ever that an agent could work and be a part of? That they could feel like they belonged, they had a sense of community. They could sell travel and have a great kind of financial uptick on the back end. That they could actually enjoy what they do and represent the brand properly, be a part of things that they wouldn't be able to experience anywhere else. So investing in the agent is what made us different.
So I think there are a lot of people who still question whether or not they need a travel agent to book travel. They can just go online and do it themselves. What would you say to those people?
Why would you go online and do something yourself when you can call a seasoned, trained professional at no further cost to you? We don't charge fees for a very specific reason. There are a lot of agencies in the industry that do, but we are, let's just take Disney for example. We are all seasoned and trained professionals in the industry that have been equipped with not only the College of Disney knowledge, but our personal experiences to be able to help our clients have the most magical experience ever. Every time you were to call Disney on your own, because you're going to manage your own trip, you'd be getting a different rep who doesn't have your file, who doesn't know what you want, who doesn't know what your family wants. When you call somebody like us and you use a personalized service, we, again, don't charge anything to do it, absolutely have your family's file at the tip of our fingertips so that we can actually plan exactly what you want from start to finish. So we know your family's file, we know what your kids like, we know what you want to do. We got it. It's the easiest thing you'll ever do.
So Adam, we all have days on the job where we say, hey, that was a good day. So looking back on 10 years, what was a day like that for you and what happened?
There were 2 that come to mind, and it's always the same day. It's always after our opening night event at our retreat. So we put on this massive show once a year where all agents who want to come can come to Walt Disney World, and we do this big award show. And it's not just an award show, it's a production, it's crazy and vocalist and talent and music and lights and all the things. And I remember in 2021, we were the first event to be in Walt Disney World after the pandemic, after the NBA left. Travelmation was the first event, so they got all these executives in the back of the room, like eyeing us down. I'm going, like they're approaching people. Like, first of all, we were all masked and like all the things at that point in time. But even with the mask on, they were like, "Don't take pictures together. You can't touch each other." You know, and we're like, oh gosh, this is going to be a challenge. So, because at that point you had to wear masks outside. I mean, even going back to these early days. But we were the first event and we were so proud to do it. And when we got done on that particular day, it was so exhausting and so brutal. But I said, that was a good day because we fought for the future of our company. And I think we really started to win. Again, because we had been so hot before the pandemic. And then as we did our retreat after the pandemic in 2022, and we had our massive award ceremony, and to have this massive show with hundreds of agents in the room all celebrating each other. We get done and there's an after party. And then all of a sudden, 20 guys from Travelmation end up on the water at the Contemporary having a cigar after the party. I'm going, you know, today was a good day. Today was a day that I'll probably never forget. And what I think is so special, I'm a memory guy. I have a lot of vivid memories in my life about certain things. And I always say, I would love to go out of life with a bucket full of life experiences. So I'm going to do whatever I can. And I think that every one of those special days that we've gathered, that we've celebrated afterward, have always stood out to me as something so special. I remember vividly each one of them. I could tell you specific things that happened on each day, good, bad, indifferent, because that's how special they were.
So Adam, what does the next 10 years look like?
Did you see me take a deep breath there? Mm-hmm. I don't know that I have an answer for that. And I don't know that I think about it that much. And I think that's what keeps us on track. I've never really thought about what Travelmation, I've thought about what we'll do next in the next 6 months or year or phase of our organization. But in the next 10 years, it's so loaded to think about what the next 10 years could look like, because we don't know. I think we'll be around. I think we'll be thriving. I think we will be the standard bearer in the industry. I think people will look to us and say, I don't know what those people have, but I want it. I think that there's going to be that goal achieved that we've said years ago, that we'll be the most influential travel agency in the Disney destination space. But here's why that goal exists. What does that mean? And that's important to me because it gives us opportunity to dream and grow. I know that our travel agents are going to do well. I know that our leaders are going to be successful. And I know that our company is going to be on the tracks. You know, I have this expression that we just got to keep the train on the tracks. So it's my goal every day to keep the train on the tracks, because here's the thing with companies and organizations, it's so easy for the train to stay off the tracks. It's so easy for it to derail. So I got to keep it on the tracks.
What would you say is the secret to your success?
The secret to my success, man, what a question, is that I've figured out how to walk the tightrope from being a leader and a lover of people. Because I love saying the word no as well. And I do it hopefully gracefully to where I'm able to say, we're not going to do that. And because not every idea is a good idea. Not every idea that I have is a good idea. Maybe very few of the ideas I have are good ideas. But there's a lot of ideas that come across my desk, and I'm the person who's got to say, we're not going to do that, and we're not going to go in this direction, or we're not going to do that now. And I would say that the secret sauce there is I figured out how to love individuals yet lead. And so many people struggle with it. And I also have no problem, and I think people respect this. I think they do, I could be way off, but I have no problem saying, hey, if this isn't the place for you, that's okay. But we are also not going to compromise who we are to do the things that you want us to do, or to do the things that we shouldn't do. And if that means this isn't the organization for you, then we're actually okay with that. Mm-hmm. And I think that people respect the conviction. I think that people go, well, this guy actually has a plan, and he cares about my success, and he knows how to lead, so I want to go forward with him and the company. That I really do feel that way, and I hope that's not an ego statement. That's just things that I've really thought introspectively about myself throughout my life for the last 10 years or so.
10 years in, what is one leadership lesson you have learned?
Without a shadow of a doubt, with everything on the line, 4 words: pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. We've moved into an age in 2022 and beyond where it's so easy to socially post, text, Facebook message, Instagram, like all the things that exist, and you lose so much there. If you want to communicate properly, if you want to lead a team properly, if you want to engage with people properly, you have to pick up the phone. You have to meet with people face to face. You have to have engaging conversations and dialogue. So do yourself a favor and pick up the phone. There are so many different ways that people lead that are bad because they don't pick up the phone. I never send something controversial in an email. Never once. Even if someone sends a controversial email to me, I always reply to it with one sentence: would you please call me about this when you're free? Boom. That's how I do it, because I want to talk. I don't want to have blanket statements in an email. I think it's a bad way to do business. I think it's a bad way to communicate. I think organizations fail because of it. I think leaders fail because of it. I think you're going down like Nixon when you do it. Pick up the phone.
So besides boss, you have some other very important titles in your life.
Okay.
Son, brother, friend, husband, father. You got that last title about 2.5 years ago.
I did. How
has fatherhood changed you?
I've I became a parent when I was older. So that in itself is unique because there are so many friends who have kids who are teenagers already and graduating high school that I went to high school with. And I became a parent older in life. I think what they say is true, that everything changes when you become a parent. You think differently about the world. You see the world through different eyes. I think it has made my journey as a human being so much more special. I think you have more love to spread and to share with others. And I feel like that's been a big thing for me. I love Libby to death. She's the cutest little girl. She's so sweet. I also want it out there that parenting does not come without its challenges. A lot of people make it seem very rosy and very, love is multiplied and all this kind of stuff. Well, and half of it is garbage. It's true, but there's a lot of challenges that come along the way. And I'm okay with those challenges because I know what a struggle it is. But I feel like it has changed me for the better. I have been changed for good.
I do think, though, it's very brave and honest to share some of that, right?
It is.
To not just make it all rosy, because it's not, and not everyone's comfortable talking about that. So I want to say thank you for that. It helps people, I think, sometimes to know, hey, look at Adam, he's got it all together. Well, not every day's great.
It's not, and I also would say to people who don't want kids that is also completely normal. I did not want kids for a long time, and it is okay, number one, to not want to or have to do that in your life. We really felt like adoption was something that we were absolutely led and called to do, so we responded accordingly. And it's been an amazing decision for our life. It's been so wonderful. But it's not meant for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's hard for people. Mm-hmm. I think that's hard for people to come to the terms with the fact that they don't want to be a parent, or they don't want to have kids, or they may not be ready to give up that selfish mentality in their life. And I get it. And it's okay. And I think that we have to be okay with it being okay, and we have to be okay with having conversations about it, because for a long time it wasn't okay. And we didn't know what to say to people like that. And that, I would love to just dialogue with people about how that's a real feeling and emotion. You have to respond to it accordingly.
So your heart has changed quite a bit through this whole process. What would you say has surprised you the most about being a parent?
What has surprised me the most about being a parent, I can't believe that she remembers as much as she does. Like, we were in the 4th of July and we were having this water fight. We have one every year with dear friends of ours. And I was, shooting other people with the water guns, the super soakers. And she said, 2 weeks after the 4th to me, just the other day, she goes, "Dad, you were not nice in the pool." And I was like, how do you remember that? I have trouble even remembering something, but it surprises me how much she remembers and how much of an intelligent being she is as a kid. Because you just tend to think well, they're kids, they ain't gonna remember this. You didn't remember what happens when you were 2.5. Mm-hmm. And is she actually having core memories? Is she gonna remember these things growing up? Is what I'm doing on a day-to-day shaping her future to a positive experience or a negative experience? Those are big weights to carry around. Mm-hmm. That's doing a big, back squat in the gym all day, every day of, carrying that weight around. So I also think what has surprised me the most is how much my reactions and the way that I process things affects her. If you're a parent who says, the way that I deal with stuff in my own life doesn't have any impact on my kid, they are seeing the world and developing in the world because they're their own creation and has nothing to do with the way that I raise them, I just completely disagree with you. I think that all children are a reflection of their parents, biological or adopted, and they are a reflection of what happens in your home. Therefore, I have to be very cognizant all the time of the way I speak to her, the way I speak to Caitlin, the way that I get frustrated, the language that I use. I just have to be aware of Libby and this little life who's being created and formed based on what she sees in mom and dad, and that's really important to me. So there's been a lot that's changed.
So whether many of us would say this out loud or not, I think deep down, we want the people in our lives to be proud of us.
I think so.
So when you think about your family and your friends, and I would say specifically Caitlin and Libby, what do you hope they think about you?
Oh, hope that the girls look at me someday and, first of all, hopefully see a faith that was passed along to them, first and foremost. And again, related to faith, there are ups and downs of life. There are hot moments, there are cold moments, but I hope that they see that faith has turned into a love of other people, and I hope they take that forward. I also hope that they look at me and think someday that I really, really loved individuals and wanted to see people in their lives do better. And I did everything I could from my seat to also make their lives better. That was something that I hope that they look at me and saw. And I hope they also saw that I was a person of integrity. Integrity is really big, because integrity is basically meaning that you are the same person in public as you are in private. And this does not mean that people don't have their issues. Like, I have my issues, you have your issues. There are a lot of people who have issues, and we just deal with them accordingly. Everybody's got their own stuff. But I hope they see that I always wanted to try to get better. I always wanted to try to shift things that weren't always on the straight and narrow in my life, and that I always strived to do the best for them along the way, even in bad moments, even in moments where I didn't get it right, even in moments where, things were ugly. Because I think one of the most interesting things about marriage, being married for almost 15 years now, I think that you have the potential to have great moments and you have not so great moments. But I think what's so interesting about marriage is I have committed to fight for her and to fight for us, no matter what happens. And a lot of people say, I'm giving up. I don't want to do this anymore. It's gotten bad. It's gotten ugly. And we're not going to say that. We've really committed to not saying that, even though sometimes you may think it. Because people do in their life. You go, I can't believe I'm in this thing. What is this? She didn't unload the dishwasher the way I wanted it done. And it's generally about that little stuff. It's rarely about big stuff. But I think I want them to look at me through all those things that I said, and I want them to see me as somebody who also fought for his family, to go, we're always going to invest in and be there for each other through the moments I get it right and wrong and all that stuff.
How did you know Caitlin was the one for you and that you were the one for her?
I don't know that I'm the one for her. I know that she is the one for me. I can't speak for her because, I've spoken for her before and it's not gone over well. So I don't speak for her, but I knew that she was the one for me. It was very strange the first moment I saw her. So I was in church and I was on stage, and she had walked into the back of the room, and she was a new volunteer who was going to be volunteering in our department with kids, which I oversaw. And I felt this thing come over me, and I was like, that's going to be the girl that I marry, and I can't even understand it. Of course, I asked her, hey, did you feel that about me? And she said, absolutely not. I did not feel it. I didn't feel that in any way. So, I had to, it took years of convincing for me to convince her that, I was potentially the one for her, but I knew immediately. And I still know to this day she's the one for me, because I know that we are together for so many reasons other than just our love for each other, because she centers me, she grounds me, she keeps me humble. Some of those things really irritate me at times because I don't want to be grounded and centered or humble. Like, I want to go off the rails and, as my buddy Steve likes to say, go over my skis. However, I know that's not a good thing. So she has really helped center me to be a better person and a better man. And I think that, I tend to think about men. A lot of guys without a good woman in their life would be on a park bench with a bottle of Grey Goose next to them in their bathrobe, just sipping it on a Tuesday afternoon. And I think that would be me, if not for my wife and what she has done. And we have a lot of friends who that might be the case for a lot of. We might be not here. Because I keep saying to a bunch of my buddies, let's go to Vegas sometime and just have a guys' weekend. And Caitlin goes, I'm not so sure that's the best idea. So, but it's that kind of stuff that I think creates a great environment for a relationship, which we have. And we've only gotten better with time, which I think is great.
Okay. I want you to look at something.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah.
Okay.
What is that a picture of?
This is me and my two sisters and my dad. I'm assuming my mom took the picture of us in Walt Disney World. I have a bowl cut. It's actually an Epcot. I can tell where it is. And this is the guy from Pinocchio. It's the fox from Pinocchio. Do you see the hair? Look at this bowl cut.
I did notice that when I printed it out, and I thought,
what were my parents thinking?
What is, yeah.
And I have a dinosaur. I know this shirt too. I remember this shirt from when I was a kid. This is one of the, remember when like your parents used to have puffy paint on your shirts?
Oh, yeah.
That's a puffy paint shirt.
Did you make that?
No, I don't think so. What do you want to know what I think about this?
I do. When you look at that, what comes to mind?
I think this is what we did when we were kids. We traveled to Disney. That, I was the guy who took his childhood and turned it into something that I love doing today. Those were happy memories. Those were memories of travel and memories of fun that I had as a kid. And I took that love and turned it into an organization that helps provide that for so many other people. I got lucky because I got to turn something I love into a career. I was having dinner the other night with someone in the industry, and she said to me, she was asking about Travelmation and asking questions, and she said, "It doesn't seem like you've ever worked a day in your life." And I said, I don't think I have. I don't think when I get up that it's work. Now, there are issues sometimes. There are not issues in our organization, because any organization that is good and thriving and fluid and all those things has issues. We deal with issues in the most proper way, with integrity that we see possible, and we move forward. We do it, we move on, but I don't know that I've ever worked a day in Travelmation. I don't think that it's work. I've never dreaded it, never once, not one day.
So someone once asked Walt Disney, if you had to do it all over again, would you? And so Adam, I'm going to ask you that same question. If you had to do it all over again, would you?
I think I would. I think I would.